to the cloud, and then I'm gonna look at this chat, maybe. Where did my chat go? I'm losing things between screen. Here it is. All right, yes. So apologies from Sarah for not being here in person. It's January and things are going around. So hello everyone. Welcome to the Penfield Library of the Future session. You may have noticed that Sarah was supposed to be leading this session, our library director, fearless library director. Unfortunately, Sarah is out sick, so y'all are stuck with me. I think I know everyone, but if not, I am Emily Mitchell. I am the assistant library director. And we're going to be talking about the Penfield Library of the Future. And when I say we're going to be talking, I do mean we and not me. Sarah had listed this as like a universal design tie-in session. And I think really the thinking is that we want to design a future library that will work for everyone. So we're seeking universal design, and we can't get that if we only talk to people who work in the library, because I love us. I love the people who work in the library, but like, we maybe use the library a little bit differently from everyone else. So, I've been kind of hinting at the fact there is talk. The powers that be are talking about renovations of Penfield Library. I don't have any new information for you all about that. So if that's why you came, I apologize. It's all very nebulous at this point still, but we are trying to get out ahead of that and get a sense of what people would like to see, so that when the moment comes, we can be as prepared as possible. All right. And now, of course, advancing slides. Here we go. So I really, really do want everyone talking as much as possible. And so my first question for you all is about how you're using the library currently, because I think it's really hard to think about the future of something if you don't have a grasp of its present. So I would love to hear from everyone. What are the top 3 or so things that you use the library for?
I'll jump in and start us off. I'm Maggie. I'm in the Criminal Justice Department and I'm the Associate Director here at CELT. The top 3 things I use the library for is obviously for CELT related, activities. So I guess I would kind of categorize that as workshops and meetings, as a gathering space. So that's, I suppose what I use it for. I also tend to bring my classes here to participate in library instruction. Depending on the class, that might mean different things, but I do, try to bring my classes here each term. And I've also used library for my own research, for the space to write and the space to work on course preparation and so forth. So I'm a big library user.
Love to hear it.
And I have been, since undergrad, I've just always found a lot of peace in the library, and a lot of hours and years of my life have been spent writing in libraries of all kinds. So that's, I would say, my sort of third use of the library.
I love all of that. So we have library as like a gathering place for community. We have library for like a space for professional development and research. We have the library as a space for like learning and educating. All of that makes me super happy. I'm just jumping because Grace put in the chat, the library is currently the EOP home base. We use it for our EOP community offices, conference room, events, and classrooms for trainings and courses. So again, I think this idea of the library as like a gathering place and a place for community and for like getting people together and doing cool things, which makes me super happy.
And I'll add that I've had my office hours in the cafe. So I love having,
Ooh.
the cafe is kind of a more like, talkative space, not as like, you don't have to be quiet kind of,
Yep,
in the
yep.
cafe. So I've done a lot of that too.
Totally agree. I don't think the library of the future, well, it will likely have quiet spaces in it, but it will not always be all quiet. I'm also seeing in the chat borrowing paper books and a quiet space to study. So yeah, that dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a gathering place, it's a noisy place, it's a place for community. It's also a place to be maybe a little bit secluded, to get your work done quietly. Especially, I know when I was in college, there were a lot of people who couldn't get work done in their rooms because of whatever was going on with roommates, or it was noisy, or maybe it was the beginning of the semester and it was 1,000 degrees in there. So all of that I think is really important. Colleen, you looked like you were going to say
I
something.
took a 2-year course through with Eastern Gateway Community College, and I got a professional office management 2-year degree, and I did a lot of studying here, research here, and then this is when one of the librarians was still here before she retired. I actually went to her to get some advice and stuff. So a lot of research and then of course just borrowing books and using the ILL now a lot more, because that's where I work.
So again, emphasis on the resources, emphasis on this is a place where you can find help, which I also love.
Yep.
It's pretty obvious from my job that I love that probably. Are there other things that people want to highlight that y'all use the library for?
I just wanted to emphasize, I'm Sarah O'Shea. I work at the library, but I love the mention of it being a gathering place because I think that's a really important role for libraries today.
Totally. All right. Let's move on to our next question for you all then. So we've thought a bit about like the library as it is, but what would make the library even more useful for you? What do you wish you could do here? This one's harder. It's more nebulous. Oh yeah, climate control, 100%. So in the chat, better climate control. The third floor is very hot. I would love to have a library with better climate control. I also, personally, I am dreaming of natural light.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Oh, I would love me some natural light.
Yeah, these buildings, they were, very brutalist in their design. They're, yeah, I like that idea, more light, because even like the cafe is like kind of dim still, like shockingly, even though it's got two,
We have all those windows, but like, are they tinted? And
yeah,
they've
like
got the
tinted
blinds.
and, which again is fine for like, cafe vibes, but then like, I would argue you should have a different space for the cafe, right? Or something if it's gonna be, I don't know, but, cause all those windows would be nice.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that, I don't know, it's, we could probably benefit from some color in this library too, with some beige. I don't know, I mean, I think there's just a lot of like.
More visually appealing.
Yeah, something more visually appealing, something that I think makes you want to be here.
Yeah, well, and I think that ties in nicely with the climate control, right? Like
environmental sort of things.
I would love for this to be a place where you walk in and like you feel good being here.
Yeah.
it just feels good. It's a comfortable temperature.
Yeah.
There's
and-
light, it's not all beige.
Yeah, like the entrance really could use a lot of love, I think, like just having a very open entrance, because it almost looks like you're like walking into, I don't know.
You see the cage, you kind of like, but you gotta have it. And, yeah, you gotta have it, but.
Yeah, it just seems
Yeah.
like it could be a little more inviting, you know, and you know, because I think like libraries do kind of get this rap of being like quiet and like very solitary, or you know, I don't know, that if the library of the future is a space for that kind of gathering and that, you know, exchange of ideas, that maybe that's what should be the entrance, right? Like,
Ooh.
you know, to have like group meetings, you know, or to, I don't know, maybe encourage some of that. I like the maker space, but I think it'd be cool to have it a little more front and centered.
Mhm.
Makerspace is what I thought needs to
Yeah.
come back and,
Bring back.
yes.
Yeah. I know like Sharona did a lot of that back in the day, and I don't, you know where it kind of evolved into, or, you know, but I think there's, I think, you know, to, yeah, make it, you know, very friendly for engagement, I think would be nice, because it feels a little, I
Yeah,
don't know, isolating.
it does. And Colleen, you were mentioning the cage. Do you mean the, when we lock up for the night? Yeah, there's like
It just
a
kind of,
cage that rolls down and you can kind of peer through it into the lobby, but
Yeah.
just kind of like.
Well, I just, yeah, there's, I mean, you gotta, I get
But
it,
you gotta-
but it's, there's probably a way to make it feel less cagey.
Yeah.
And maybe a little more like, okay,
different way.
we're closing up shop, but it's not like we're, you know.
Mhm. So I'm also seeing in the chat for the EOP office, they've wished for a bigger lobby or space for students to spend time with our staff, which I think is important, just having a space where people want to and are able to just spend time and have those casual interactions,
Yeah.
like the serendipity of
little
getting all these people in the
fireplace,
same
I'd say,
place.
Those little fireplaces.
Oh,
I used to go
Fireplace would
to
be
my
nice.
public library, not this, I used to go an hour to a public library on Saturdays. Sit in front of this fireplace.
Yeah.
And read all day long.
Yeah, that
I
would be
love it.
cozy.
Yeah, that would be cozy, especially
And
in the
you don't need a
winter.
fire
yeah.
fireplace, you know those,
Yeah, just like
Yeah,
one of those
the gas
electric-
or something.
Yeah.
Some of them are like.
let me tell you
gas.
how,
Oh, yeah, there
how
are electric
inviting and
ones.
how comforting that was.
Yeah, well, you know, sorry, I don't wanna keep like, you know, monopolizing the conversation or whatnot, but I just noticed the other day that there's like a children's space up there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would have totally like brought my kids up there if I knew it was there like all summer, because I
Oh,
like
yeah.
not tearing up place. Not that they're gonna tear up the place, but I mean, you never know where the books are
Oh,
gonna.
yeah,
fly,
that's
but,
nice.
You
up
know,
there.
there's, I mean, I, as a young, as a parent to young children, like, there are a lot of like kind of community uses, I think that, would be nice,
Oh, yeah, and
And,
there are
like,
so
you know,
many
we've got-
parents of young children.
right, and there's, you know, the children's center on us, you know, on campus, like, if they like, you know, wanted to come over and bring the
They
kids,
do that.
like.
They come for story time
See,
every
and I
year.
think like that'd be nice to like have, like, I don't know, I guess I don't know, you know, what they, all of the things that they do and like where they travel, but I think it'd be, like, I didn't even know it existed, so then I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
should have known that, because.
Well, so some of this is
And they're
making
not
visible
affected.
things that we have that might
Yeah.
be good, but also I think that space could be improved.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah. And I would love to see more spaces that would support parents of young children,
Yes.
because like there are students with young children, there
sure.
are faculty and staff with young children. like-
yeah, and there's like a huge deficit in resources for, you know, young children in the community, right? I just think that there's a lot that could be done, especially because like childcare is a mess, you know.
Right?
It'd be nice to like you know, if I had to work and like bring my kid to school, it'd be nice to like have a place that I could, you know, be with them, but
Mhm.
you know, they wouldn't be like, I don't know. Anyways, I can go on.
Yeah.
I shouldn't.
Well, so I can tell you, I have worked at an academic library that had a room devoted to parents who were there with young children, and it had like a play area and computers, and it was enclosed, so your kids couldn't escape.
See, that's
That's
brilliant.
nice.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I
It
think
was-
it is. I think that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
That also could have been better because there wasn't that much for the kids to do in there, but as a concept,
Yeah,
um,
really just an enclosed space that doesn't have like,
right. Well, because you
Electrical
need to be
cords.
able to work
Yeah.
and keep the kids entertained.
standing desk in there would be great, cause
Oh,
then they
yeah.
won't be like trying to hit the desk.
There you go, yeah,
That's always
yeah.
a
Mhm.
thing.
So other things I see in the chat, windows for the professional offices. I would love to have windows. That would be amazing. Maybe a second elevator for when the current one goes down. That is definitely a universal design thing.
Absolutely.
Students need to be able to get to every floor of the library. Actually, not just students, everyone needs to be able to get to every floor of the library.
I would like to see shop not in the basement.
Mhm.
I don't know. I like it, I don't really get to engage much with shop, but like, you know, as a student resource, it'd be nice if they weren't like tucked away.
Tucked away.
You know, it'd be
Yeah.
nice if they were front and center, because that's another, you know, thing that we're constantly trying to communicate to students, like, hey, we have these resources to help you, but if it is kind of like tucked away in this maze of places, which
It's special
is the space that they're able to access, right?
Right.
So it's, I get it, but it'd be nice if that was, you know, more front and center and
More visible, and also if it or anything has to be down there, I think that could be more inviting
yes, right,
and look more like a place where
Yeah.
people are supposed to go.
yes, it does feel like you're not supposed to be down there.
It's a little bit forbidding down there.
Yeah, it is, because sometimes I go down there
Yeah,
to use the restroom or go into the reference room.
you're
I
like,
just kind of like,
where am I? What am I? Am I in the
special
right
collections
spot?
is down there, and
Right.
I'd like to have them up more.
Well, if you go down the staircase, it's just like, where am I? Is this?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It's kind of freaky.
yeah,
Um,
less dungeony feeling.
That's the word, yeah.
I don't know, we could lean into the dungeon.
We could, right, we could lean into this.
Maybe not. So other thing I'm seeing in the chat from Grace, there has been discussion in the past about a student support service hub. So things like getting advisement, tutoring, accessibility, technology services all together in one place. And I think that's going to be a really important discussion too. Like who are the other people who should be in the library building, right?
Yeah,
Like what makes sense for this to be the place to go to get help?
I think it would be really smart to have accessibility here, you know, to have like the test taking, you know, space in
Mhm.
here and, you know, I mean, I'm sure their space is fine and, you know, usable for, but, you know, the campus center, I know that, in the times that I've had exams where students, you know, were taking it in an in-person timed setting and they were taking it over at accessibility. I did have a lot of students that were like, man, I just don't want to walk all the way over there. And I'm like, but it might be beneficial, but I don't-
Right,
of
right.
course, that's a little more central. I'm, you know, speaking from a bias of being in Mahar.
Right.
So, you know, I think it probably does make sense for that space to be
Yeah,
there,
it's kind
but
of tricky with how long the campus
yeah,
is.
it's a very long.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
but yeah.
But I like that idea.
I would love to see more flexibility in spaces in terms of being able to change spaces as we need. You know, do we need another classroom on a certain day, or do we need, you know, more private study space for a day? So whether that be like mobile furniture or even movable walls, that sort of thing, I think that would be really beneficial to our students.
I like that idea too.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I know that like tutoring currently has they need more space in the evenings, but they don't need more space during the day. So like, how do we make it possible for the different needs of the people in the building to kind of
Yeah.
ebb and flow?
Yeah. I like that.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next one, which we were kind of already talking about. So I don't know if anyone else, or if, words, y'all, it's Monday morning. If anyone has anything else that you'd like to say about like, what do we wish that students could use the library for?
I thought of one before, they'd like to have a quiet space where they can do interviews. Cause sometimes they
Mhm.
come here for just interviews
Mm.
and, they're like, oh, I have to have an interview. And I say, well, you go on third floor because it's the quietest, but you can't, because you can't.
Right, because then you're making noise
Then
on
you're
third
making
floor.
noise because you're having it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There should be a place where they can just go, okay, this, you wanna.
They have that little hub, right?
Yeah,
So, like
but-
enclosed.
Sometimes you wanna sit down.
Oh, the booth by the front door?
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
the booth, they could use that,
They could, yeah, but that's one.
Right, right.
but.
But I like I like the idea of having like that kind of private soundproofy.
Cause when I work up front,
Space.
they're like, I need a space, I have an interview, I'm like, oh, geez,
Mhm.
okay.
Well, and I wonder too, I mean, as online courses are, they're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
And if you are an on-campus student who has to take an online course,
Mhm.
do you necessarily have a space where you can like focus on that and be private?
Yeah,
Maybe not.
right.
Actually, I'd say if you live on campus, probably not.
I mean, they can sign out rooms. But I don't know if there's a section for just like, okay, if you have, if you have a class you need to take. And you want it really quiet, like soundproofing,
Yeah.
especially interviews, because you're talking
Yeah.
privately.
Totally. So I'm seeing things on chat too. Quiet space to study, I think is super important. Definitely still going to be a thing. Continuing physical textbooks on reserve, 100%. I think, Sarah, were those our most checked out things in 2023?
Absolutely. Yeah, when I looked at our 10 most circulated items, they were all books on reserve. So they are definitely used by the students and it's
I used to
a
do
benefit
reserve.
for them.
You did, yeah.
"Yay!"
Yes. So reserves are definitely still going to be there. I'm seeing from Grace, also lab space. I think they appreciate the Mac computers, the printing, the current quiet spaces, and the small group spaces are helpful. Also possibly a small school supply store. That would be cool
Yes,
if we could have
usually
supplies
it's
in the
up front
library.
is the
Yeah,
school supply store.
yeah. Um,
That's-
And the couches in the 24-hour room are appreciated by students. I've also seen a lot of students pull the tables that are kind of lightweight, pull them in front of the couch. So you have the best of both worlds.
Those
You can be on the comfy couch.
Chairs are so nice. I used to go in there before I got sick
Yeah.
to sit there and relax. Very nice.
Yep. So we've got a suggestion of calculators to borrow, which we actually, like, we do have them,
Mhm.
but if people don't know that, then it's not doing any good.
Mhm.
So some way of making it more visible that we have some of those things,
Mhm.
I think could be really useful.
I would also jump in really quick just to say that the like medical needs room could use some love. As a lactating human, to have a space for, pumping or like other, medical uses that you might need, like a refrigerator would be nice, a place to clean pump parts would be nice. I know that, maybe those things aren't standard or required, but
No, but that would
to
be
be a little
nice.
more accommodating, because otherwise, you gotta go to the bathroom to clean your parts, which is a little
Oh,
less.
I wouldn't want.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I've definitely used the library kitchen, but as a student, I don't know if if a student needed space like that, I don't know if they would feel comfortable asking like, hey, can I use your kitchenette? Would they even know? you know.
Right.
I don't mind like, borrowing those things because I know that they're there and that you guys are welcoming, for me to, store things like that. But even like, to administer shots or, like if
Mhm.
you need insulin or I don't know, things like medications like that to have, a sharps container for those things in a medical needs kind of
Yeah.
would be
That's an
helpful.
interesting idea.
That's very,
Um, anyways, that, to throw that out there, because there's, I think, kind of a push to not just have lactation rooms, but to make it more accessible for all kinds of medical needs.
Yeah, well, and I think that ties in beautifully with the idea of universal
it
design.
certainly
Like,
does.
let's meet the needs of everyone
Yeah,
as much as possible.
mhm.
yeah.
I like that. Does anyone else have something to add for what we wish students could use the library for? Hearing nothing, we can go on to my next question. Which, since there are not that many of us, maybe we don't have to actually write down, but like, if you had to use 3 adjectives to describe your ideal university library, what would you all come up with?
The first thing that comes to my mind is welcoming.
That was one of mine as well. We're librarians. So I'm seeing from Grace, welcoming, resourceful, and comforting. I like that. I don't know if I would have said comforting, but I think I like that.
Not technically an adjective, but ease of use, making it, easily, so that you can easily find what you're looking for, know where to go for what you're looking for.
Yeah, well, and Colleen just said accessible, which I think
Yes.
ties in with
Yeah.
that. It's got to be easy for everyone to use.
Inclusive.
I liked what Magdalena wrote, inspiring.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really great adjective here. Collaborative, engaging, I could go on forever.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I could spend my whole day just like, ooh, my perfect library.
yeah.
Anyone else want to throw something else in? All right. We can go on. We might be up to my last question, actually. Are there libraries that you all love? And if so, what do you love about them? And I'm actually going to escape out of looking at that, because if anyone has examples, I want to pull them up so we can look at them.
Mm. Well, I feel like, I don't think it's really a necessary example, but in grad school, I really liked working in the dissertation and thesis, room where, it was just very charming. I don't know. I really like old libraries. I know we can't probably, infuse old, things into the library in the future, but I don't
So
know.
like the big wooden shelves and the
Yeah, the,
tables with the
ladders
lights and that
you
would
know,
be fun.
I mean, that would be fun, but also I can imagine there's lots of reasons we don't do those. things
Yeah,
anymore,
I
but
don't think we're actually going to get the slidey ladders.
it's fine.
Oh, would fall.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a total crazy to do something like that. Students on
Yeah,
it, it'd be a mess.
Yeah.
But there was something kind of like super charming, and I don't know, that I like the idea of being surrounded by all of the great things that I think have come out of libraries. I don't know, there's something very like charming about this.
So tying in with the inspiring and like, look
Yeah.
at all these accomplishments and like,
there's.
you are welcome here and you are part of this.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
I posted a wrong link, but can I share a picture?
yeah, you should.
Oh, no, it's not allowed. Okay.
if I
Uh,
saw,
I'll try to get a better link.
so I can show you all, I worked at a place and it had many problems. But natural light in every single building, every single room of the library except for the staff mailroom.
Oh, that's pretty, Magdalena.
Oh, good. I'll open that in. Where did my, oh, no.
There's something inspiring about being among a bunch of people who are all reading. So, I mean, I understand we're not gonna have a ceiling like that, but just a big room with lots of tables.
Let me bring this up.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
yeah. That's gorgeous.
Right, that's,
Oh my,
it's very awe-inspiring.
you see those in movies.
Right? I love the high ceilings and the big windows
Yep.
and like definitely with the inspiring. That's beautiful.
Hi.
That is,
I do kind of like the idea of having like a reading nook that's like, we were saying like with the fireplace, that's like very, like just about reading.
Mhm.
You
So
know,
like cozy chairs.
cozy chairs and, cause I think, that was the reading room was just for reading, like
Right,
there were
right.
no like outlets on the tables for.
Oh,
like,
yeah, gotcha.
Plugging in and such, which, maybe that's less useful,
Well,
when
I
you're
mean,
not reading.
sometimes it's important to unplug to be able to focus.
Mhm.
So maybe,
Maybe a small little nook.
maybe. Flipping back, the one I was gonna show. And now I won't be able to find a good picture of it because that's the way being live on camera goes. Oh yeah, this was our 24-hour room, which I don't know how practical this is, but
that is
just
cool.
all the windows. It was always full. This room off of it, I think, is where the like family room was. So there were computers in there, and also in this part with the windows there, it was like a playpen basically.
Yeah,
That is awesome.
And this up here was actually a whole mural that was supposed to be like the invention of learning or something, I don't know.
I also, maybe it's not reasonable because of, having to keep things nice and whatnot, but I also like having space to like, work and have my coffee. That's
So like a cafe vibe.
like
Or-
a cafe vibe, but maybe like not as many people, like, I don't know, like, but a room that you were allowed to have your coffee in, so like maybe it's not, I don't know, can you have coffee in like the 24-hour room?
You
bring,
can.
like,
You
food
can
and
bring
drinks
it
in there?
anywhere except 111, I think.
Oh, okay, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Um,
But if that's not clear, then it's not doing any good.
Right.
right,
I have to say, I actually really like the third floor in the library currently as it is, except for the temperature, which is too hot. But I mean, there, lots of tables and the big windows. I think it's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Okay, so keeping the good parts of that vibe. So keeping the big windows. I'd like more big windows, more view of the lake.
Those are nice. I take a walk in the morning. And I look
Yeah.
out the window. I go on the third floor and walk around, and it's nice.
And to send that to everybody, hold on. Okay,
All right, here we have one more. Copy
Sorry,
that. Oh, I love that.
Oh,
You know, it's not the cafe, right? But it's got the vibe.
Uh-huh. I love
I
all the
know.
light. I love
Where's
the
this
like
at?
warmth of
Oh,
this
I
wood.
Googled.
You just Googled it?
I
Oh,
just
okay.
Googled it.
I thought it was actually-
No, it's not actually a place that I know.
Look at
But,
those
you know, we've
chairs.
got that beautiful, I mean, yes, there would be a parking lot, right? You know, to
Depending
view,
on
but
which
like,
side it was on.
depending on, you know, where, but I don't know, there are like, you know, some nice, I would like some indoor outdoor space, you know, areas
So
that go in and out, you know. that you can-
here is our dream in the library admin suite, and you can all back us up on this. Our dream is that we get a rooftop garden.
Yes, I love it. I'm all about it, all for it.
That's nice.
Because imagine the view from our roof. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah, that would be really nice. You gotta capitalize on that kind of space.
Right, and
you
if
know?
we had like a room up there that could be like a fancy meeting room with lots of windows and you would get that
I
view.
love it. That was also another favorite thing in grad school, like the apartment building I lived in. Also had a rooftop and it had like kind of lounge chairs and
Oh, yeah.
always the only person and you could see all of downtown. It was.
Yeah, I'd want a telescope.
I
Oh,
mean,
it's
let's
so-
have a
so-
telescope and let's
Yeah.
invite meteorology over and astronomy over and let's like.
Yep.
You know, and you
Sustainability
can-
can grow things up there.
And you
That's
can-
what I-
you
that's
can
what I
make a
did.
space, right, where like, you know, the edge of the garden isn't the edge of the building, right? Like
Mhm.
you can make it so that you're not, you know, and
Yes,
you're
we-
not bringing risks into places,
like
right?
that.
You know, like you can have like the space, but you know, maybe a few feet on, yeah, I don't know, I just think about students getting silly.
Right.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Safety
Well,
is
yeah.
important.
But yeah, you
That's
can
pretty.
have like, yeah, I love the idea of using some outside space. Because when there's a nice day. you
We
have
need to
use it, and we
capitalize,
need to
yeah.
capitalize On that.
And I can just imagine, even if no one wanted to sit outside in the winter, if there were something up there with lots of windows and you could
Yeah.
have meetings there, like who
Mhm.
would not want to have your meeting there? And even if it was a gross day, you could see the weather blowing in off the lake. And you
Yeah,
could watch
yeah.
the sunset.
I like, yeah, kind of an indoor outdoor space. For sure,
That's the dream.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that should be a.
I think it could be a showcase of the entire campus.
Yeah. I mean, that's really.
Trying to think what other, like what beautiful libraries have I seen that I really
I
like?
love standing desk places
Mhm.
too, you know.
Yeah, we were talking about
I like
library
this.
fireplace nooks, and then I was like, can we look at pictures?
Fireplace, that's the one that's what I want.
I love that idea, having a little.
I'm telling you, it's
cozy
so
nook
relaxing.
And.
As you all were discussing the view of, you know, a potential meeting room on the top of the building and the view of the lake, it made me think of the Johnson Museum at Cornell.
Yeah.
The top floor of that has an incredible view of Cayuga Lake. I sent a link, I'm not sure if it'll,
Yep, you did. I just wasn't looking.
and it's the first picture on the top, I think, but it's just, or I guess the second picture. Scroll on down there.
Oh.
And that doesn't even give it
yes.
justice. It's even better.
We need that. Why don't we have
Right?
that?
Yeah.
I love that. But
That's
like,
beautiful.
I feel like we should be capitalizing on the fact that we've got
I
this
agree.
gorgeous view.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. And you'd never know it if somebody just dropped you into the library.
Right?
Right,
And maybe our fireplace nook for
Hmm.
being cozy could be someplace without window, because we do have this big building and there can only be windows on the
Right.
outside.
yeah,
So maybe you have the like cozy wintertime warm nook
yeah, kind of
Inside.
tucked in somewhere
Yeah.
inside. I think that's reasonable.
Could be like a cozy burrow. I'm not really seeing anything that captures. Well, I mean, they all look cozy, but oh, I love window seats.
Oh, yeah.
That gets away from, it could be inside away from the windows, but oh, look at that.
Yeah, but I do like the idea of having kind of a cozy nook somewhere that's about reading. I think also just maybe aesthetically, and maybe this isn't important at all, like having a little more curves in the library. Because it is like a very, like, you can't change the exterior of this building, right? And so you look at it, it's this big cement block. You can do some things with windows, but anyways,
Right.
but like if you had a little more, I don't know.
See if I can find the pictures of, there was just something I was looking at and now I'll never find it. Oh, it might have been them.
just
And they
something that
do,
gives you a little more,
Cool.
wow.
so this doesn't really do it justice, but I'm wondering if this,
I
like,
like
is
these
this,
little table things, these little curvy tables where,
they create like whole areas full of these and you can have these like traffic flow patterns. So kind of like this one. Like this is clearly in a big square space, but it
Yeah.
creates a more flowy, organic feel. Ooh, also like booths. I like booths, I think. Visually, I like booths. We can see if I like them, just.
And having come from a library who had booths, particularly in our teen area,
Oh, yeah.
booths are incredibly loved and really encourage collaboration.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think about, what the dream would be for this space, for SELT. And, I really like to see it be, again, a little more of a gathering space, a little more loungy, looking that still, we could still have like a, conferencey area, but something that I think would kind of create a little more of a connective space for faculty.
Am I gonna be able to find? So there was, in 2012, we also thought that there were going to be renovations. And there was a
Interesting.
really interesting, so there, the likely plan is that there will be a connector to
Right.
to Lanigan, so
Lanigan.
Lanigan to Penfield. And I'm pulling this up because it is old and they say some things in it that, and I apologize if anyone hates the scrolling, but I don't know what page I need. There are some interesting pictures of their conceptualizations. Not that.
That looks.
Well, so they had this idea of like this being the connector, but there was also a part where they were describing like seating in this, and it just sounded like it's not exactly outdoor, but this kind of flow between inside spaces like SELT and like having seating out around its entrance.
Yeah.
And it could kind of flow and people could use it for that or for other things. And we'll see if I can find that. There's also a really great picture. I think it's this one. Look at this girl's hair. The future in 2012. And now I want, maybe it was this drawing. Yeah, I won't find it now, but it was using the connector to give like outdoor like patio seating.
Yeah,
but in this connector,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like actually outdoors, and in the winter it would be unusable.
Right.
Like a four season room.
Yeah, kind of like
Yeah. And I wonder if something like that would help us, because every every group in here wants and needs more space like that, right? EOP does, CELT does,
Mhm.
tutoring
Well,
does.
You know, thinking just like broadly, like we don't, on campus, we don't have a faculty space, right? Like we don't
True.
have a faculty lounge that's like, here's our faculty like space. Like I think
Mhm.
about the, like, you know, class has done like faculty mixers like in their office and it's fine, but it's like you are walking around desks and you know, you're in people's like workspace. And I think that's you know, really what I think CELT should be used for, like, you know, but we just don't have, I think we don't have, I mean, we've got a lot of extra furniture in here that could,
Yeah.
you know, but like we could have different, you know, I do think like it's good to have like a conferencey space for things like this, but like we could also have this, you know, I guess it's in a slightly different format, right? But, you know, to have like a faculty lounge that we could say, oh, we're having an end of the semester,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
faculty mixer, everyone come one, come all kind of space. Like, it wouldn't just be self using it,
Right,
right? It
right.
could be anyone that's like, oh, we want, you know, the library wants to host a grading party, like we could
Yeah.
have that in that space and it would be, you know, maybe just a place for faculty to like hold their brown bags and, you know, like other departments could use it for different, I don't know, I just think it'd be a nice thing to, you know, to have some kind of dedicated faculty space,
Mhm.
especially if, you know, we kind of want to, you know, we want to show students that our faculty are not like inaccessible. I think it would be great for them to be able to see like, oh, this is the faculty lounge. Like, you know, I don't know. I just think if we want to like emulate some of that community building, then we
Mhm.
should have it for, you know, we should have some faculty space too.
That
you
would
know,
be cool.
Library
Mhm.
Yeah.
as
Mhm.
well, right?
I like it. Although if we had that versus the rooftop room, which
Well,
absolutely
you
will
know,
have,
Yeah, we gotta go with the rooftop room.
I mean, I think that would win.
That could,
Yeah.
yeah, but you know, that could be any kind of space, right? We could then, you know, hold.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I like, yeah, I do think having, you know, all of these spaces, you know, to have kind of a shared, you know, gathering space
Mhm.
around it, I think is so cool.
Yeah.
It's nice,
Mm,
nice view.
I love all of this. All right, we've got like probably 2 minutes left before I should end this. We've reached the end of my questions. Is there anything else that y'all would like in our recorded session for Penfield Library of the future?
Mhm.
Were you going to say something?
Well, no, well, you sort of, I guess I just want to really throw in the need for like an indoor outdoor space, because I think we've talked in so many reading groups, in so many conversations with faculty and around, you know, how do we ensure students' mental well-being and all of that. And there is, I think, a lot of benefits to having, you know, that, you know, getting in touch with nature, like a garden and things like that. I just think that in a in a s- in a space, in a building like this, to capitalize on that is really that I'd put that at number one on the list to have, you know, that kind of space, because then you could, you know, we could really, you know, tell students like, oh, like this is,
Yeah. I love it.
Mhm.
I would love to be like still in the library, but able to get outside and like on a nice day or when I just need a breath of air. All right. Anything else before I end this session? Hearing nothing, I'm going to say thank you all.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for playing along and participating. And I'm going to stop the recording and then, yes, I do want to stop